We're going to be talking about spring gobbler because spring gobbler's coming up, and it's a totally different way of hunting turkey. It's the most popular way of hunting turkey, and we're primarily focused on the male birds, which is the gobbler.
I was gonna ask you. I've been just calling it spring turkey hunting. You keep saying spring gobbler.
Yep.
So
yep.
Is that all we're allowed to hunt?
They have got to have a visible beard.
Okay.
All right. Now, there are some hen turkeys that will grow beards, and they are legal to harvest. You know, a lot of, hardcore turkey hunters, they'll pass a hen if it's got a beard just because they're nesting and producing those eggs, and it's that breeding season. And but by law, it is a bearded turkey.
Okay.
But yes, we are primarily after the male bird, the gobbler.
Okay.
So
that's
what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
A little bit tonight.
So what do you have to do to get started?
Number one, you got to understand. I tell people all the time, you've got to understand the animal, the bird, the fish, whatever you're after. You got to kind of understand that animal. So, for an example, the springtime of the year is the mating season, and those gobblers are strutting. They're gobbling. That's where they get their name from.
Mm-hmm.
Their heads are brilliant red, white, and blue. And in most of the bird species, the male birds are the brighter colors, the prettier birds, and that's part of their mating rituals. Just like our state bird, the cardinal.
Cardinal.
Yeah, the
bright
male
red.
The male bird is super bright red. The female is kind of a
duller red.
Yeah, a dull, kind of an Easter egg,
yeah,
not as bright. And so, with that being said, in nature, the female birds always go to the male bird, right? So that's why they have those bright colors. That's why a spring gobbler, he gobbles and he struts, is to attract those hens in.
Unlike some other species that the male goes to the female.
That's right.
Like deer.
Yeah, deer and the black bear and other species, they're using their scent and vision and all that good stuff. Birds use their vocal, they're singing, they're chirping, they're gobbling. And so the females always go to the male. As hunters, we're reversing nature, all right? So we're going to imitate calls to try to entice that male bird to come to us, the hunter. So, number one, somebody just getting started, they need to understand that. They need to understand what's taking place. The hens, females always go to the gobbler. But as hunters, we're reversing that. So we're trying to get as close to that male bird, set up, make some calls, and hopefully he'll sneak around and come into us and we get a shot at him.
So you just mentioned that. How close do you have to set up to that bird?
Well, it varies. Early in the spring, there's no leaves on. And as we all know, or if you don't know, birds have tremendous eyesight. So getting close is a lot harder. You're going to use the lay of the land to try to help you. You want to try to get as close as possible without being seen. Early spring, it might be, depending on the setup, depending on what part of the state you're in, a couple 100 yards may be as close as you can possibly get.
So it's not like you have to get within 10 yards, 20 yards of that turkey. before you even get started.
That's right.
You just got to get it within 100 yards, and then you call them in.
Yep. Then we're going to set up, and we'll talk about setups and proper setups and not so safe setups. We're going to talk about, because we want to keep all of our new hunters safe.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it's all about location and making the right calls and sitting very, very still and being patient.
Okay.
So
if you can't sit still and you can't be patient, maybe turkey hunting's not quite right for you.
Well, here's turkey hunting, as you can see around this room. Turkey hunting is probably one of my most favorite, if not the most favorite type of hunting that I do. And the reason is it's the spring of the year. You know, flowers are starting to bloom. That winter is fading away, and the greenery is starting to pop out, and the birds are starting to sing, and just the world's coming back to life. And so the temperature's mild, typically, and it's a very interactive type of hunting.
Okay.
You know, deer hunting, a lot of times it is ambush. You know, we've picked a spot and we sit in that area for hours, waiting on a deer to come by. Turkey hunting is totally opposite. We're listening for those gobbles, and I think I've got a gobble tube here, so so you're listening for that gobble off in the distance. So turkey gobblers in the spring of the year, they give away their location. And that's when you try to make a move on them and get as close as you can and set up on them. And then you start making those hen calls.
So is the springtime, the April time frame, which we're hunting for gobblers, is that the kind of similar to November for deer, for rut?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's exactly what's taking place.
Okay.
It's
So it's the mating times.
Yep.